Do you want a few tips that are going to cut your learning curve and help you learn some powerful skills very quickly with your character's physical acting? Well, stick around. Hi, Jamie Young here, and you're watching the YouTube channel Acting. Today I want to talk about physical acting. The physical acting is one of the three different conduits of storytelling for animators. A conduit is like a pipeline or a channel through which something is delivered. So we have water pipes that bring water to our house. We have electricity wires that bring power to our houses. So the story, the emotion, the character's needs and wants are all conveyed through different channels. The one I want to talk about today is the conduit or channel of physical acting, the body. Now there are some things that you can use in your character's physical acting that are going to give it more variety so that it's not repetitive or mundane. Also, we're going to talk about some ways that you can spice it up, give it more interest, give it more appeal so it draws your audience in even more. We also want to talk about how there are different types of gestures. We often get stuck in doing the same thing with our characters, and just by knowing a few simple categories of gesturing, you can open up a myriad of possibilities. Also, the final thing that I want to talk about is how you move from one gesture to another to make it real and authentic. So let's go ahead and jump straight into an animation sample, and I'll talk you through some of these ideas. All right, the first thing that I want to illustrate here is all of the different parts of the body that are used by this animator in getting its character to express. Everything from the head to the fingertips down to the feet are utilized in this clip. And so I think it's a great example of using as much of the body as we can. The particular piece is a little bit more heightened or exaggerated in terms of the vocal clip that they were given, and so you could be a lot more expressive with something that is that exaggerated, but it's still a great piece to model the rest of your work off of as well, in utilizing as much of the body as possible. Let's watch this clip.
Like with those freaks over there in Loser Town, huh?
Freaks? They're not freaks. They're people, just like you and me.
People. People just like you and me. Oh, man. That is what I love about you, Kate. You got a personality. Ah, that is rich.
Okay, good. So the torso is heavily engaged, the shoulders, the arms, the positioning of the head, and how the body interacts with itself as well. So a great example of utilizing as much of the body as possible. I think inexperienced animators tend to just focus on one or two parts of the body for their physical expression. The next thing that I want to point out are the different qualities of movement that we see. So a quality of movement gives movement a characteristic. It helps it to have a certain flavor or a unique kind of expression. So we want to look for things like fast and slow movement. We want to look for things like choppy or smooth movement. So look for different qualities. There's lots of others, but let's try to pinpoint a few of them.
Like with those freaks over there in Loser Town, huh?
Freaks? They're not freaks. They're people, just like you and me.
People. People just like you and me. Oh, man. That is what I love about you, Kate. You got a personality. Ah, that is rich.
Okay, so again, one of the things that makes animation so interesting, it's just kind of like a meal that you're preparing. You can create some basic ingredients, put them together, and it will do the job, but the more variety and spices you can give it, more delicious and attractive it's going to be to the people who eat it. Well, same thing is true in animation. If you can get a lot of different variety going on in what you're doing, and use qualities to get that variety, I think you'll be much more successful. Just really impressed with how there can be slow and smooth and contained movement, and then we can also get some big, choppy, fast, free movement as well. So again, pay attention to not just the parts of the body that are used, but how you use those parts, giving it as much spice and variety as possible. Now what I want to look at are the different types of gestures that are available. There's just a few basic types of gestures that all gestures fit into. And so let's see if we can pinpoint a few of those.
Like with those freaks over there in Loser Town, huh?
Freaks? They're not freaks. They're people, just like you and me.
People? People just like you and me. Oh, man. That is what I love about you, Kate. You've got a personality. Ah, that is rich.
Okay, so we're going to focus on the hands, arms, and how they relate to the rest of the body. You see, he's pointing to his face and rubbing something out of his eye right now. We consider this a facial gesture. It's a gesture towards the face or the head. Now we want to look for gestures that occur in space outside the body's kinesphere.
Me.
People?
Okay, so right there you see that his right arm is extending out in space, and it's going to then point. I like that there's a two-finger point. Two-finger points are always much more powerful than single-finger points. But you can see how he's gesturing with the hand out there in space. So that's an example of a space gesture. So we have a face, we have space. Now let's look for the third kind of gesture. All right, so the final type of gesture is the body. So let's watch a gesture where the hands and the arms go towards the body. You can see here in this frame that I've got up right now, the hand, one hand is out in space, but the right hand is on the body. So that would be considered a body gesture. Now let's look for another one.
People, just like you and me.
Okay, so he holds on to that same body gesture. The hand passes up to the torso and is on the belly. Again, indicating that something is funny, because when we laugh, sometimes we put our hands on our bellies.
People?
So those gestures, those slaps to the body, are some other examples. Normally a gesture would rest on the body for it to be considered a body gesture, but there's a type of body gesture that allows for the hands to tap or undulate on the body, and that is an example of what he's doing here with his hands. He's slapping his knees. Again, another type of a body gesture. Final thing in physical acting that I want to point out today is that every gesture, the face, space, body gestures that we've just talked about, has a journey to it. There is a formulaic, step-by-step occurrence with every gesture, and by being able to identify what those are, your animation work is going to be eons ahead of others. So let me pinpoint a few of these as we go through the reel again.
Like with those freaks over there in Loser Town, huh?
Okay, so we see the left hand going up into a space gesture. I'm going to rewind it a little bit. What happens, the journey of that gesture is swift and soft. There's no tension in it. And then once it arrives at its destination, it sustains for a while in that position. So swift, soft, sustained is an example of the journey of a gesture. Let's watch it again.
Like with those freaks over there in Loser Town, huh?
Freak,
He holds
not
it there.
freak, the
He
people,
holds
just
it
like
there.
You and me.
People. People like you and me.
Okay, good. So this gesture that he's going out in space here, he gets done with the body gesture there of slapping his hands on, and then he moves swiftly and softly. You see how the hand kind of is in a flowing motion right there. That's the softness. And then it swiftly moves after this moment of sustaining out of the hand slapping, and then he moves it swiftly there. And then we have him holding it in place with kind of undulating the hand in the pointing position. That's the swift, soft, and then sustain of another gesture. Let's see if we can find another one.
Me. Oh, man, that is what I love about you, Kate. You've got a personality.
Even though we typically pinpoint things with the hands and the arms when we're talking about the journey of a gesture, he gestures so much with his head and neck that I think we can use that to point out some things. How he moves swiftly and then sustains. Moves swiftly and softly and then sustains those gestures. So with those basic skills of physical acting for your animated characters, you're going to be able to make your work full of much more variety. You're going to give it a much more interesting flavor. You're going to have more options available to you, and your work's going to be much more authentic and lifelike as you create the movement and the physical expression of your characters. The use of the full body for your characters, coming up with different qualities of movement, the different types of gestures, and also how those gestures move from one gesture to another. As what we've talked about today, I sure hope it's been helpful to you. Please, if you like what you're learning here, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon there so you can find out when each of our new videos comes out on a weekly basis. Thanks so much.